happy Tuesday. Last week's video, boop, right here. Many of you were very excited about that. I actually went through and shared a full in-depth look at my daily schedule, so how much time I have for each and every subject throughout the day. And then I also kind of talked a little bit about what each of those subject blocks would look like. So what a typical math block looks like and how I fit in what I do during that allotted time. So that I thought was a pretty good video. So if you haven't checked it out, go check that one out there. I'll link it down in the description. But then today, this week, I thought I would just kind of take you along for a few days. So it is already Tuesday, and I thought I could share kind of what we're teaching throughout the week, but today is actually our screening day for winter screening. Now, over the last year or so, I have shared what our screening day looks like and how it's a little bit different than I have done in the past, and I really enjoy the way we do it. So just a quick recap here for those of you that don't know. For our screening day, we actually do all of our screening on one day. So we have 6 first grade teachers, 6 first grade classrooms, and 2 go each day. And basically what happens is all of our reading specialists and math interventionists, they come in and they split themselves up between the 2 classrooms. And then we just kind of complete it all in that one day. So what that looks like management-wise in the classroom is a bunch of must-dos and may-dos. And there are a few of the assessments that we actually go ahead and complete as the classroom teachers. Like we do their RAN, and we use M-Class for reading, and we use Ames Web for math. So basically throughout the day, teachers are spread out around the room, and we call students over one by one to do each of those tests. And that ensures that all the first grade is getting, assessed right around the same time, so we're back to back to back. And also it just makes it nice and easier instead of stretching out that screening window. But what that means is today is kind of a different teaching day, right? I'm not actually doing any explicit teaching today. It's a review day, and basically we do a bunch of must-dos and may-dos. So I can go ahead and flip this screen around, and I'll kind of show you what the slides look like for today, just so you can see how we manage that. So after we do our morning meeting, this is what the main kind of blocks are going to look like. So 9 to 9:30 is basically our phonics block, and that is when everybody will start to come in and we will start our assessing. So what I do is I just show them this side they must do first, 1 and then 2. So I even show them that they will need, a pencil, they'll need some scissors and glue, and they'll grab it from the blue bucket. And I just put the blue bucket over on the rug. So the first thing they're going to do is a read and match. I have a bunch of these for every different skill. And we are going over the glued sounds with NK. We had already done the ones with NG, so now we're doing NK. So they have to read the decodable sentence and then cut out the picture that matches each one. When they're done with that, they will go over to Seesaw. And here is just I've made a bunch of different Seesaw activities for different skills. So here they have to spell some glued sounds. And then when they're done with that, they will go down to Epic. So that's like their phonics portion. And I always have like a 30-minute calming timer going on. And then for writing, similar situation where they will go to simple sentences. This is writing. So here they have 2 decodable words. This is the digraphs one. So we have bath and hot, whisk and mix, brick and red. And they have to use those words and make a simple sentence here. Looking for cups on the bottom here. So capitals, understanding, punctuation, and spelling. Once they finish that, they'll turn it in and they can go to Lexia. So Lexia they will do for at least 10 minutes on their iPad, and then they can go to Letterbug, which is the game that my husband created many years ago, and we just introduced it last week, and my kids love it. And that will be from 9:30 to 10. Then we will have snack and recess as usual, so everybody will leave, we'll get a little break, come back in, we'll be able to do our calendar time, and then right to math. So this will be about an hour-long block. Here they're going to do some addition and subtraction practice. They'll go over to IXL and complete some of the starred skills, and then when they're done, they can do some IXL games. Trying to keep it nice and easy for them. And then after lunch and recess, we have WIN. The WIN block I'm just keeping the same. Because everybody already has their activities that they're supposed to be doing. So for WIN this week, we have some NK, read and match, some glued sounds, missing letters, and then I put in a mixed addition and subtraction up to 20 sheet. So they'll do that packet if they're in that group. My independent writing group will watch Building a Snowman by SciShow Kids and learn a little bit about the science behind building a snowman. And then they will share how they can make their own snowman with the little how-to writing. And then for collaborative math, they will play a little partner game here where this is just color them. It's in my addition print and play. And they have to roll 3 dice, so this is 3 addend. 3 dice, find the sum, and color it in. And then my last group, of course, is always the collaborative reading with a friend. And then this is just the slide that has everybody's name on it. After that, we have PE. And then for reading centers, we're just going to do 10 minutes of Lexia. I probably will still pull my small group over here if I can, if they are already done with their testing, because I'd like to still be able to see them. And then we're just going to go into free choice. Since it's been a largely independent day, I want to get them, having some fun, talking with one another, and doing some free choice. I think they've earned it. And then I just wanted to show you Letterbug real quick. If you haven't seen this, again, this is a game my husband developed and created many, many years ago, and it's been through quite a few little updates. But here, that was the original Letterbug sign. Now it looks a lot different. So I showed students how to do this, so I already have a profile, but they just put in their name here, and then they click it. And when they go to play, they can pick which skill they want to do. So we can do letter sounds, CVC words, digraphs, blends, silent E. He is still kind of working on these other skills that I'd like him to have. It's just been a long time. He's been doing a lot of other things. So if you're like me and also want him to develop some new levels, let us know down in the comments. Maybe it'll light a fire under his butt there. So let's go to digraphs. They can either pick a specific set that they're working on or mix it up. And then they flip this over. Now this, I don't have my volume because it's connected to the smartboard, but this would say dish. And then you click it again and it says dish so they can hear it. And then the first level always kind of shows them what to do. So they have to spell the word dish. There's all these little locks that they have to move through, and these boxes move them over. So now they're here, they need to go get I. And now we need to know dish has our S, and then our H. They can't go through this unless they already have a D, which we do. Grab our H, go it up through another lock, and bring it here. Once they have completed it, they usually get a little prize. This is one of their favorite parts. They get to tap to open and see a different hat. So you can either say no thanks and you can put it in your collection, or you can put on the hat. And so now when they play the next level, which this is inch, once they play the next level, they're wearing their new little hat. So the students have really loved this, and it's a fun game. So we are adding it to the May dues. That's pretty much all we're doing today. It's kind of a chill day, but also can be exhausting because it's a lot of independent work. So I'm going to go ahead and get out the morning work and get everything ready for our day and start setting out some of those must-do activities. I'm going to put them in the bins over on the rug for students to grab. I did want to share with you, though, something very exciting. If you followed my videos for, I don't know, the last couple months or so, you will know that we love Dancing with the Stars, and we would watch it every week as a family, talk about it, love it. We are actually going on Thursday. Dancing with the Stars Live is coming to Boston. And so Thursday after school, me, Parker, and the boys are heading into Boston, and we're gonna go see the tour, and I'm so excited. Theo and I actually went 2 years ago. Here's a little picture of us right here, when Vinny was there and Gabby, the Bachelorette. And I took him for just a little Christmas surprise, just him and I, and it was really fun. Calvin was a little young. He wasn't into it yet. But now that we all love it, all 4 of us are going, and I just can't wait. I'm so excited. At the end of this video, I'll share some clips with you from that night because it was just so fun. All right, I'm gonna go get ready, and I will check in with you either later today or tomorrow. Happy Wednesday. I did film some clips of me coming in the morning, but it is actually the end of the day. I just had too busy of a morning and too many things to prep to hop on my phone and say hello. So this afternoon, I thought I would just share a few of the activities that we are teaching this week in class. Because last week I did my schedule video, so I haven't really talked about what we are up to now. But first, in phonics, we are learning glued sounds. So we are back to foundations. Our glued sounds are these up here. The glued sounds we have are an, am, and then we have ang, ing, ong, ung, ank, ink, onk, and unk. And then also, just so you can see over here, another glued sound that Foundations teaches is all, but we were actually doing HMH when we learned all, And this is how I've always classified it. I like it over here as a floss rule since it has that double L. And then we talked about all, ol, and ul. So I kept that over here. As you can see, we are adding quite a bit to our sound wall. I love when this starts filling up. And then we have our heart words over there too. I have a couple new ones that we added that we're gonna go through and take some down and replace with ones that we're still practicing. So glued sounds and phonics, and then we are learning about calendar and time in math. So we just finished up our assessment for addition and subtraction within 20. That whole unit was a doozy. It took a long time because it's addition and subtraction with tons of different skills and strategies that we're teaching them. So we really want to go through that in the best way. And now we are teaching calendar. So I'll share some of the activities we did for that. And then tomorrow, actually, we're starting time. So maybe tomorrow I will show you what we're doing for time to introduce students to time to the hour. And then next week we'll do time to the half hour. Here are the slides that we have for foundations. As you know, I created slides to align with all the foundations lessons just to keep us on track. So we have our little review slide. And then this is our review slide with some of the newer skills, all of our glued sounds. And then our last unit was just that suffix S. So we also have that up there. And then for this, I had students grab their whiteboard, and this is something you could easily do with any skill, and it's just called Let's Play. And I would just put the word up or put the image up, we would say it out loud, bang, and then we would tap it, and then they would try to spell it. And so after they go ahead and spell it on their whiteboard, I would write it on the board, they would flip and check. So we have bang, gong, tank, bank, fang, honk, bunk, and wing. So we did that this morning. And then the two trick words that we learned were put and to, like the number 2. And then we practiced reading the sentences, put 2 flowers in the vase, put 2 cookies on the plate. So we read those, found our heart words, put and to. These, as you will notice, are not decodable. They are not meant to be decodable. They are just in a regular sentence. So it's okay if they cannot read it out loud, but on their own, but they should be able to identify the words that they do know how to decode. And then we added those to our foundations journal. And then we did some dictation. So with dictation, we just say some words, students tap them and spell them, and we always practice some sentences too. And then we have our wiggle break with Danny Go. Now, some of the other ways students are practicing these skills, just, on their own. During win time, here is the little activity independent station when they get to this once a week. So here, this is with NK, because this is our newer glued sound that we learned with all the NK. So they have to read the word and then find the picture to match. These are all in the Literacy Club, of course. And then this one is encoding practice. So they have to fill in the missing letters. Fang, A-N-G, tank, A-N-K, and so on. And then also during literacy centers today, half of the class got paired up with a partner and they played read and color. So they did this for about 10 minutes where they put a game piece anywhere on the board, they move it, and again, they're just decoding. So drink, define the drink, color it in. I was also able to pull about 2 on-level groups today during win time while everyone was kind of spread out around the room. And we did some word building and then some decodable texts with the glued sounds. So let me just show you that real quick since it's already set up in the back still. So here we just have some Lakeshore magnets. They could have just brought their foundations ones, but they like using these kind of different letter tiles here. So I put these out for a few different students and we just did some word chaining. So sing, song, sang, and then we changed sang to sank, so they really had to hear that N sound. And then after we did that for a little, I had us practice one of our decodables. These are like my mini decodables. It's like a 1 page and then you fold it up like this. So this one was all about Ben being stung. So what they do first is they read the word out loud to me. If they read it correctly, they go ahead and get to color in the box. And then they do some phoneme grapheme mapping down here. So sting, S-T-I-N-G in the same box, S-W-I-N-G. And then they first, before they read it, they go through and highlight all of the NG words. And then they read it to themselves one time, color in the book. Read it to me out loud, color in the book. And then I determine, based on how they read it that second time, if they're gonna read it out loud again to me or in their head for that third book. And then they flip to the back and they just draw a quick sketch of what happened in the story. And then they tell me what happened. I give them a little smiley face and I say, go home, who are you gonna read it to? They tell me and put it in their mailbox. All right, let's talk about calendar and time. Time, like I said, maybe I'll talk about that tomorrow, what we're doing to teach time and all that. But for calendar, there's just a few skills that we kind of go over. And calendar's a little bit of an easy one because we focus on calendar all year long with our digital calendar. But even with that, definitely students don't know the months of the year in order. We talk about that cyclical pattern, how everything repeats, the days of the week repeat, the months of the year repeat, the seasons repeat. It just keeps going on and on and on with each new year. So at the beginning of the week, we talked about the days of the week. I played just a little song that is on YouTube. There's a bajillion of them, but like to the Addams Family, days of the week, days of the week, days of the week, days of the week, days of the week. And then they just go, there's Sunday and there's Monday. I'm not going to sing the whole thing. That's the way the song goes. That usually helps most of them anyway. And then we also have the game called Don't Be a Sunday. I shared this last year, but one of my teammates taught me about this game. And I think I've shared it before, but students stand up in a circle, and just like any other of our like circle games, they stand up until they are out. And so the way it works is you don't want to be a Sunday. So you have to say the days of the week in order. And I always start, so I'm the first Sunday. And then they go around Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you land on Sunday again, you just sit. And we just go around real quick until at the very end, there's only one person standing. So you don't want to be a Sunday. So that just helps us practice again, remembering that order. Also with calendar, we talk about those 7 days of the week. Which days are we in school? Which days are the weekend where we're not in school? We kind of go over that. Then we talk about the months of the year. So we have another Scratch Garden video, I can link it down below, that I usually play that does the months of the year. And we talk about those months and how they also go in order. And that when you're done with all 12 months, it's a new year. Let me pull up some of the slides just so you can see a little bit about what we did. Okay, so this is actually from last Friday. I just wanted to show you a quick little overview just so you can see the activities we've been doing. So first on Friday, we reviewed the days of the week. Then we went through the little knuckle trick about how many days are in each month. And we looked at a real calendar of 2025. We talked about the leap year a little bit. And then we watched this video right here from Scratch Garden. This is the one I mentioned earlier. And it's a nice catchy little tune about the months of the year. And then this was not in screen show mode, and we called out the months in order and I dragged them over. And then we talked about how many days each month has using our knuckle trick, and I also dragged those over. Then we just made this little wheel here. Let me see if I can grab one. Here is just a quick example, and this one already has the months of the year in order. And so I just printed this out on blue paper. Students could color in their months here, and we attached it with a little brad clip. And then this they're keeping in their desk so it can help them with these months of the year in order. So they could just go through it and go around it. So that's pretty much all we did on that first day when introducing the months of the year. Then earlier this week, we said, okay, now we're going to use a calendar and we are going to figure out how to write the date. First, we did a little math warm-up. These are some of my new calendar warm-ups that I have for using a calendar to do different skills. So for this one, they have to look at this week in January. What day of the week is the 18th? Thursday. What day comes before? What day comes after? And then these will progress with different weeks, and they'll also progress to have a whole month up there. So we did that first, and we reviewed our songs. Then every student got to make their own calendar, and I'll show you this in a second. But everybody, I had already printed out the calendar, so we colored it in, and then we would actually put the star on today's date, and they would practice writing the date. So we taught them how to write the date January 13th, 2025, but then we also showed them that you could write the month number. So 1, 13, 25, whatever it is. So we kind of practiced that a couple different times. Then after this, we went through each one. Then we watched a little brain pop video about calendar and dates, and then everybody got their calendar. So first when they got their calendar, I just gave them 5 minutes up here, the little timer, just to color it in. Our calendar now that I'll show you has some symbols on the side, so they just colored it in to make it theirs. And then we did a fun activity where students had to go around the room and they had to add some little symbols to their calendar. So let me show you that. So this here is what the calendar looks like. This one has a student's name, so I'm just covering it up real quick. And they weren't here on the day that we colored the calendar. So this is what it looks like, and they spent about 5 minutes coloring. Now let me open it. On the inside of the calendar, every month is here. They are all listed and ready to go. And then what we did is I put out some little centers with these little paper cutouts, some for different holidays, and then also one for their birthday. And like I said, this student wasn't here for any of them except the birthday one, so it's blank. So I'll grab the little notes and what they looked like. And what they had to do is first we went through each page and we said March is the third month of the year. So we did it in order, and they would always write it here. And then it said circle the last day of the month, 31. March has 31 days. So first we did that for every page of the book. Then, depending on the little sticker that they got, so write the date for St. Patrick's Day, we would put the little sticker here, St. Patrick's Day, and then they would have to write it March 17th, 2025, 3/17/25, or 2025. So to show you what that looked like, I happen to have all these little kind of low cups here, and I only did 8 centers of this. There's a ton of them that my colleague had made, but I only wanted to do about 8 because it would just take too long. So we started with 8, and at each little station, it would look like this: today and happy Halloween. So they had the little symbol, and they were kind of spread out around the room. So I had 2 of the little cups there, 2 on the rug, 2 here at the back table, and then I had 2 here at the brown table. So then, working in pairs, students would walk up to the cup with their calendar in hand, and they would have to see what it said. Okay, we are doing today. So January 13th, I already wrote it. So then they would grab their little thing, they had their glue stick, and they would have to find January 13th. Boom. And they would go ahead and glue it on here, today. And then they would write the full date for today, January 13th, 2025, abbreviated date, 1/13/25. Then they would grab Halloween, and they would have to find October 31st in their calendar and do the same thing. They would glue it down, and then they would write the date for Halloween. It was just a fun and easy activity for students to kind of walk around the room, explore their calendar. It very quickly let me see how most of my students got it, but a few were really stuck, especially on writing the date or even just how to use a calendar in general. So those students I was able to kind of closely monitor and walk around and help them. And then the last one we did was today. So we did the 8 stations, and then today during math, I pulled students back one at a time, and I asked them if they knew their birthday, and if they did, they would find it in their calendar, put their little glue stick, or put their little sticker on, and then they would write the date on a whiteboard for me. So pretty much everybody knew their birthday, which was good. There were a couple kids, I directed them to the birthday board in the back to go find it, and then they could figure it out and add it to their calendar. And then the very last part of calendar that we are teaching is identifying which season each month is in. So we talked about the 4 seasons, we listened to our songs again, and then here is just another warm-up. This one is looking at this week in March, find March 13th, what comes before and after. And then we watched this Scratch Garden video, which shares just each of the months and what season they happen to fall in. We talked about what season it is now, what month it's now. We again looked at that cyclical pattern, how it continues over and over. And then this we sorted together. So you can see here when I come out of it that we just dragged them over. So all of these were kind of over on the side. We said January and February are fully in winter, and then March kind of goes in between. April and May, fully in spring. June is in between. July, August, and so on. And then December has some of fall and some of winter. So we talked about that too. And then for their independent little practice here, they had this sheet here, and it starts with January. So students had to go in order and write the months in order. And then they had to draw a little picture just showing what season each month is in that represented it. So in January, we gave the example of a snowflake, and we came up with some other examples before students went off. And then when they finished that, they could go to IXL and just do some of their skills practice. So that's pretty much what we taught for the past week or so in math for calendar skills. There is one other thing that we did that I forgot. We played a little game of memory here. You can't even see that, can you? That says Tuesday. I printed these out, and this is where they had to learn the abbreviations of how to spell each word or each day of the week. So Tuesday, and then the abbreviation was TUES with a period at the end. So we talked a little bit about that, and students just worked together to match them up, and then they played memory. I also want to do the same thing and with months of the year, and I want to have it with the number. So I want them to do January and 1, February and 2, and so on. And I like to kind of throw this type of activity in during like our math warm-up. So I'll say, oh, instead of like a math warm-up where we are on the board talking, I want everybody to stand up, pass out a card to everybody, and they have to mix around and kind of find their partner. So I might do something like that tomorrow before we dive into time. All right, I'm gonna head out of here. I have a Pilates class in a little bit to go to, and then I think I will pop in tomorrow morning, let you know the time lesson and how I'm introducing time to the hour. And then I have my Dancing with the Stars tomorrow. So very excited about that. And I will see you in a little bit. Good morning. Happy Thursday. It is January 16th. And I remember yesterday I said I was going to pop in and just kind of let you know what we were up to in math. I know I've already shared a few things this week, so I will make this one quick, but I wanted to share how we are introducing time to the hour with my students. So let me flip this over. Let's get the slides up and I'll show you. All right, so kicking off math, we of course have our calendar, and then our objective is we will identify time to the hour on an analog clock. And then kind of before we dive into that, some of my students will ask, what is an analog clock? I explain it and we go ahead and point to the one in our classroom. But then we will do a little calendar warm-up, which I said this yesterday, but we're going to kind of spritz in little pieces of calendar throughout the rest of the year, and especially during our calendar time, now that we've explicitly taught some of these skills. So here we have a full month. It is October, and I asked students what date is the third Thursday of the month. So they have to find the Thursday, go down, find the third, and realize it's October 18th. And then we'll extend this by having them write October 18th on the board in two different ways. Then the second one is what date is the first Sunday of the month? So same thing, this one I like too, because we talk about how this is actually September 30th. It's not a blank day on the calendar, but this is how it appears on October's. And then the first Sunday is actually the 7th. Then I will explain again that we are learning about analog clocks. I will point out what one is and how they have the large black numbers, and these represent the hours. Then we talk about how 12 is the first hour in the morning and also at night, so AM and PM. I will mention how it goes around the clock 2 times to make a full day, so 24 hours. And then we talk about how we start, the 12 starts at the top, and then we go around clockwise as we read the numbers, and the hours will go in this way: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So we will kind of take a look at that. And then basically what I'm going to have students do, these are the slides that a colleague had made, but I'm going to use them as a basis to kind of make our own clocks. So I'll show you, let me actually grab those and I'll show you how I do this. All right, so here is what the paper looks like, and here is a finished product. So as you can see, it takes a lot of work to get from here to here. So we definitely sit and we do this together. So I will do it on the board and we explain kind of each part step by step. So first thing we do is everybody writes the numbers here that we represent as the hours, so 12, and then we go around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We identify the hour hand and the minute hand, and they write it down there. So everything is with pencils so far, as you can see here. Then the next thing I point out on the analog clock is how we have these little tick marks here and how there are 5 minutes kind of in between each of the numbers. So we talk about how there's 4 little dashes because we start after the 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we talk about how each section here is 5 minutes long. So my students next will then draw 4 little tick marks in between each of the numbers. After they do that, we start at the center little dot here, and I have them draw a line in between each of these kind of to make these little 5-minute sections. And then they just make a pattern. They can pick any 2 colors they want and color around the clock. And we talk about how the minutes here we count by 5. So we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and 60, which we know 60 minutes is an hour. So when it gets here, we start again at 1. After my students have everything finished here, they cut out the clock in the 2 hands, and then they come up to me and I fasten it with just a little brad here. And then I have them go back to their seats kind of as students are doing this, and I have them try to match the time that's on the analog clock here in the classroom, and then they can just kind of give each other different times to try to make, they don't know too much yet because I haven't taught them what time to the hour even is yet. We just kind of talked about the parts of a clock and how it works. As you can imagine, that takes quite a bit of time. So that takes about a full 30 minutes of putting the clock together, talking about the different parts of a clock, how it works, and actually fastening them together. So that's going to be the main bulk of our lesson. And then I'm going to have students come over to the rug with their clocks. I'm going to show them a little bit about how time works with that little yellow clock back there. And then they're going to practice making time to the hour. So over on the rug, I kind of put this in my lap and we talk about how when this right here is on the 12, it says 60 here, but we're going to say 00. This starts a brand new hour. And then so we say o'clock. And then the hour hand is pointing to the hour. So right now it is 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock has just started. And then I show them it's 5:01. 1 minute has passed. 5:02. 5:03. And then I also show them how on our clock in the classroom, it has the red second hand that goes all the way around, and we talk about how when the red second hand goes all the way around, it's been 1 minute, and when that does that, this moves one over. And then as I'm moving this, I ask students to watch carefully the red hand, the hour hand, what's happening to it. And they notice that it's moving. And we talk about how when it goes all the way around, if I can do this with one hand, it has moved from the 5 to the 6. Now it's 6 o'clock. Then I have them guess, okay, if we go all the way around 60 minutes again, what will it be? 7 o'clock, then 8 o'clock. And they find it kind of fascinating to do that. So I do that first, and then I put some slides on the board and have students practice making time to the hour with their clocks. So to bring it back to the slides, I tell them to ignore this one over here. I just say this is going to be your student clock. And then we match the one over here. So we see what this says. We say, oh, this says 1 o'clock. We see how it's written here. We haven't, they're going to really learn the digital time tomorrow and how it matches. So right now we're just talking about the analog clock. And then they made it on their clocks. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. They thought it was going to be 4 next, but we switched it up to 8 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and so on. And we ended with 12 o'clock, and we talked about how both the hour and the minute hand are on the 12 when it's 12 o'clock. That will be pretty much the end of math for today, because this part right here, this is just roll in color. It's from my print and play time games. We're gonna play this tomorrow as we practice telling time on an analog clock. So here they just need 2 dice, and they're going to roll the 2 dice and find the sum. So it'll be anywhere between 12 or 2 and 12. So there is no 1 o'clock here, but that's fine for practicing. And they will find it. So if they roll 8, they will find 8 o'clock on here. Here it is, 8, and color it in with their crayon. So they're just gonna practice finding time to the hour tomorrow. I just pulled up tomorrow's slides too, because I'm gonna add in that game. I'm gonna move it to tomorrow because I know we won't have time. So tomorrow we're gonna review time on an analog clock. We will play that game, and then we'll show how it relates, what it looks like on a digital clock. And I have one of these in the hallway, so we'll really kind of talk about what it looks like. And how we do the hour first, then we do dot dot, and then the minutes. And every time it's on the 12, it's 0 0. So then we'll practice writing down some times, and then they're going to practice making the time on their clocks. So if you click here, we just have a fun little word wall that's kind of just interactive. So students will pick one, let's pick the 9, 10 o'clock. And then once they see it's 10 o'clock, they will make it on their clocks and hold it up to the board. And then we can go back, somebody else can come up, they can open the 6, 11 o'clock, and so on. This is just on Wordwall. One of my colleagues always makes these, and they're a lot of fun for students because they're interactive, and it's better than me just like shouting out a time. Then, going back to the slide, so they'll do that just a few times with me, and then we will go ahead and play some matching. So here, students will play memory together. First, they'll have to match them up, and then they'll check with the teacher. Once I've confirmed that they're okay, they will turn it into a little memory game, just matching analog and digital clocks. And then if we have time, we will also do a write the room or a solve the room. I don't know if we'll have time for that tomorrow, but that's kind of what our first 2 days look like. So that's mostly how I introduce time. Again, today's Thursday, tomorrow's Friday. So we're really just focusing on time to the hour and those basic parts of clock making, what time to the hour looks like on an analog and a digital clock, and how we can write it. Now students have not learned yet how to draw the hours, which I will introduce probably next week, because right now they're just moving it on a clock. I want them to see it, and they're also practicing looking at it and reading it. But I do want them to be able to, if I say 7 o'clock, I want them to be able to draw the hands to show 7 o'clock some sort of way. So I will have them probably do that. I think what I did last year, and I'll find it for next week's plans, I think I had just a big blank clock with all the numbers and everything, just without the hour hand or the minute hand, and I just threw it in a plastic sleeve. So that way when I did shout that out, they could go ahead and draw it. So I could even use the same word wall activity that we're doing tomorrow, but instead of making it on their clock, they have to draw it. That would be an idea. So that is pretty much what I am doing in math this week. I know I shared some other things, but I don't want this video to go on too long. So I think next week I'll pop in and share what we are learning next week too. So if there's anything specifically you want to know, if you want to know more about writing, more about phonics, any part of the day, just let me know down in the comments, and I will I'll look at that this weekend, and then that will help me for next week's video in terms of what you want to see. But for now, I'm gonna finish getting ready for the day, and I have Dancing with the Stars tonight. Very excited, we're going right after school. So if you do want to see some clips of that, just hang on for the rest of this video, and I'll put some clips at the end. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up so I know. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel and click that bell. That way you're notified of every new video. See you in the next one. Bye.